Now, if they optimize it, or if that type of thing can be passed on to a dedicated PhysX card, the way much of the NVIDIA physics can be passed on, perhaps you'll be able to run with that setting on as well, and it will look amazing. There is a night and day cycle in the game, as there was in the previous ones, and there is a dynamic weather system. The weather does vary from area to area, and it really does change the feel of the game. The rain can make things feel a little more miserable, the sun obviously make it cheerful, but you can go to some areas and find yourself getting wind in the trees that is so strong it actually makes the trees bend backwards. I don't just mean some nice little sway. You can hear this wind roaring through the trees, and you can see it bending the trees. It really does add an incredible atmosphere, and for a Witcher game that is very, very important. You need the atmosphere to be right, and the ambient sounds in this game do that. They get it right, and of course it has a great soundtrack. I've actually got the CD of the soundtrack. I've been listening to it. It is incredible, and it plays the right music at the right time in the game just to keep you exactly in that moment. If it's a moment of danger, the music will reflect that. If it's a calm moment, the music is reflecting that. I really did like the way the game sounded. Movement around the world of The Witcher is very, very well done. It's much better than in the previous games. I mean, not only can you run around, you've got sprinting, but you also have a horse, and you can call your horse at any time. And one of the very cool things with a horse is it will actually auto follow the roads. If you press the button for sprinting or trotting with your horse, but do not put your fingers on the arrow keys, it will actually just follow whichever road you are on and just keep going, which is a really nice feature. But more importantly for me, you actually have a lot more options for just moving around the terrain. And what I'm talking about are things like jumping. You can jump in the Wild Hunt. You can vault over fences. You can climb very, very easily. The objects in game only cause a problem if they would realistically cause a problem. If you want to slide down a hill, you can do it. You can jump off objects. You have far more freedom of movement than in previous games, and it feels really good. And remember, I was using a controller, which I really do not like doing. I do not enjoy using controllers for this sort of a game, and it was actually not that difficult. Moving around the world with a controller was actually reasonably pleasant for me. So I'm imagining once I go to mouse and keyboard, it's going to be even easier. If you are a controller user, if you want to play this game with controller, you can. The movement was pretty easy. And basically, if I can do it, you guys should be excellent at it. And that brings us to the end of part 1. I have shown you the world of The Witcher: The Wild Hunt, what it looks like, what it sounds like, and what it's like to move around within it. But of course, there is much more to a game, and in part 2, I'm going to cover game mechanics. What's the inventory like? What are the potions like? How about the user interface? And of course, the combat.